Hey everybody, this is Sanj, and for those of you tuning in for the first time, welcome to The Real Fan Review. Make sure you check us out on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Listen to all our episodes on your favorite podcasting app, and make sure to like us and subscribe on YouTube so you can keep up to date with all the new episodes. If there's a topic you would like us to talk about, just let us know. Our email address is therealfanreview@gmail.com. Real is spelled R-E-E-L. Enjoy the show.
You're listening to The Real Fan Review with Hav, Sanj, Al, and B.
What's going on, podcasters and YouTubers? This is Hav here, one of the hosts from The Real Fan Review. And man, we miss y'all. It's been, we took a week off for Thanksgiving, sickness, all kinds of things going on, man. It's been so crazy. I've missed you guys. How you guys been?
Oh, I've been well. Missed you guys too, man. I realized that's why I was grumpy this whole week.
For real. Extra grump this week.
No, because, like, look, I honestly, between job, the kids, my mom, everything, like, you know, this is the 1 hour or 2 hours when we get together on Sunday. That's like just for us, just like the one thing I do is just for me or whatever. And I'm just like, yo.
It's almost like a mental take off the switch.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's just crazy and cool and fun and everything.
It's like back in the days when we used to do those Monday night dinners.
Yeah.
It would break up the week. You know, and it's like you would look forward to it, whatever. And every week, I'm like looking forward. I'm just like, I just gotta make it to Sunday. You know what I mean? It's like it's just and then Sunday happens. It's like, all right, what are we talking about next
Refresh,
Sunday? Right.
How about you, Al? Man, how you been, bro?
Very good, very good. There was a lot of stuff going on with the family, like you said, sicknesses and stuff.
Yeah,
but everything's back to normal. Knock on wood. So just taking a day, waiting for the holidays to go by and start the new year.
Speaking of knocking on wood, the shed is finished.
Yeah. Oh,
I'm over the damn shed. If I can make a podcast alone about my
shed.
Infuriation with the instructions of the shed.
The instructions were infuriating.
And also whoever cut the wood for the shed, whole podcast for that guy. But man, to be honest, man, we miss you guys. We miss being on the podcast and talking about movies. No Brandon today. Brandon got an emergency phone call to go to Boston. So good luck to him today on his trip to Boston for his job there. But today, man, we actually got some good topics to talk about. I wanted to bring up these trailers that came out this week, which is awesome for us because it gives us plenty to talk about. Then we got also, since Thanksgiving just passed, I figured we'd ask you guys, you know, what you guys think. What were you thankful for as far as movies go? It could be movies from this year, movies coming up, or just a movie that you like in general that you're thankful for. So kind of start things off, man. We gotta bread that butter.
Let's
butter that bread.
Butter the bread. Yeah.
Get that knife.
Bread the butter? You know, I have definitely breaded butter. Let me explain.
You've dipped bread into
Yes, I dipped bread into the like, you know, you make them Pillsbury crescent rolls and you get them hot out the oven.
Yeah. You
just dip them right in the butter. So I have breaded butter. So I knew exactly what you meant.
Thank you for catching me.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the first trailer we got that came out was that Black Widow trailer, man. We finally got a sneak peek at what's coming. And you know, not for nothing, it did amp me up a little bit. I wasn't really looking forward to it because, again, I think we've talked about this before. We've said that the Black Widow movie should have came out between Civil War and Infinity War.
Right. And remember how I said it was completely acidine? And why would I go see a Black Widow movie?
Yeah.
Now that she's already like gone and dead and whatnot,
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm totally gonna go see.
Spoiler
that.
alert. Yeah, but no, I mean,
the trailer looks awesome.
It does. It does look good. It look good. And Al, what'd you think, man, when you saw that trailer?
I liked it. It definitely makes you wonder why they didn't do this earlier when fans were begging for it, asking for it. But it's kind of like I think you even mentioned in an earlier podcast, like almost like what's the point?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I like it for the comedy that they seem to be putting in there. Was it Red Patriot or whatever his name is?
The Red Guardian.
Red Guardian.
You've gotten fit.
Yeah, I like it. So it looks like it's going to be a good overall. It's going to give you extra knowledge of her. But again,
yeah, I'm actually convinced that because they're doing this and they know they did this ass backwards, they're gonna put something into this movie that's gonna lead to the future, and that's the reason why it's one of the. It's not the first because I still consider Spider-Man: Far From Home part of Phase 4, even though they said it's the capper to Phase 3. To me, Endgame, that's it. That's Phase 3.
That's it. Yeah.
But this is supposed to be the start right here, Phase 4.
Four.
So I figure since it's the start, it's going to show us some things that are going to lead to the future, even if it doesn't include Black Widow. There's still rumors out there that it may have something to do with including Black Widow somehow in the future, but I don't think so. However, I do think that there is something to this Thunderbolts thing where they said Thunderbolt Ross creates a group of bad guys. And I think that this is going to be the beginning of that, where we're going to get the bad team up.
Okay.
Get created. We're going to see.
That's pretty cool then.
Right.
If that's the concept.
I think that was something that we might see because we're going to see these alternate Black Widows that may take over for Black Widow. And then we also have the Red Guardian. We also see the what's the guy's name from Spider-Man? Taskmaster.
Okay.
By the way, I'm going to say something on that after we talk about this, but I just think that it's going to lead to something. So at least it gives me something to look forward to, and just I just don't feel it's going to be as straightforward as it is, where it looks like it's just Black Widow going back home and seeing her family linking back up and teaming back up. There's going to be a lot of betrayals, I think. They're all spies. And if we look at what happened in Endgame and Infinity War,
Well, Red
nothing
Guardian
mentioned.
is not a spy.
I don't think he's a spy, but I think he worked with them with the spies. Black Widow, that whole unit is like, I think we're spies, So
Okay.
Yeah, but it almost like to the point of either they don't make it through the movie,
right,
or what happens because there's no mention of them or anything in Infinity War. You don't see them in Endgame. So it's not like they come on and she brings them into the fold of
Exactly.
being part of the team. She makes no reference to them in either movie. So
Because when it comes to
either
families,
you're gonna
her
retcon everything.
Her thing is like always like she's with Will Barton's family, and
she always says the Avengers are her family,
right. And
Yeah.
she said, "I don't have any family." Like, the reason like she's there is because she doesn't have any family. So it's kind of, I guess it makes it even more sad because then we see her family and something's going to happen to them.
Right, that's
Something tragic. So
that's what I'm
Yeah.
thinking. So we'll see. Either that something tragic is going to happen. I personally feel like they're like kind of lining it up in the trailer. So there's got to be some kind of a switch off going somewhere. I think that team is going to backstab her. Personally, that's why she says she has no family.
Yeah.
Oh,
But my big the Taskmaster thing, I'm gonna put it out there. I'm not even gonna say spoiler warning because I'm so sure of it. Taskmaster is Hawkeye. I said it.
Wow.
I said it because I thought it, and then I said it out loud.
And you think this is the Budapest that they keep
I
talking
think
about?
that's the Budapest. The way that he took that bow and arrow out, it just.
Yeah, you saw that, right? I'm
Yeah.
just like, wait. Okay, yeah.
So
When I saw
think-
that, okay.
I think that Taskmaster scene is something from the past. That's the original Budapest, and I think what's gonna happen is that's Hawkeye that's under that mask, because they just keep, sorry for my vulgarness, but they keep cock teasing something, like they keep. How many times have we heard Budapest, Avengers? Every time that they're together. The Endgame.
When they were in the ship, they said this is a far.
Almost makes you like want to go to Budapest just to find out like what's going on.
Like what happened?
What
here?
happened? Yeah.
Clearly something happened, and they're not just saying it; they're showing it. Right?
I heard Budapest is beautiful though. We should go.
I mean, the views were looking good, man.
Yes.
But definitely, I think that Hawkeye will be in the movie. Sanj, what's your take, man? You think we'll get Captain America, Iron Man?
I thought we saw Captain America in the trailer. As a matter of fact.
Oh, really? Okay.
In a outfit that we're not used to seeing him in, a more techie type uniform. I think that was Captain America fighting Red Guardian.
Oh no, that was Taskmaster.
Oh,
Yeah, that was Taskmaster. That was like a side angle of Taskmaster running to the Red Guardian.
I think there's another scene then.
Okay. We'll see. Because I think there was a scene where they were looking at each other, then they ran towards each other.
and they fought. Yeah,
They
they,
fought
Okay,
real quick.
yeah, it was that scene. All right, yeah.
Yeah,
So that's Taskmaster. Okay.
The shield on the bottom had the little orange T that Taskmaster uses in the Spider-Man game.
Yeah.
That's the only way I know Taskmaster. It was a Spider-Man PS4 game, which was incredible. Al, your take on like Iron Man, Captain America, or maybe some other surprises, like maybe even Samuel L.
Well, I know. Iron Man is definitely in it because they already.
Oh, really? Okay.
They already showed the cast list, and he's in there.
Oh, wow.
So
Robert Downey Jr. They show
Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark.
How do we feel
as
about
Tony
that?
Stark? Well, given the timeline, he's still alive.
Yeah. I'm
So-
okay. No, obviously.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
Let
if you
the
killed him
man
off, like
rest.
let it be. Like,
Almost like he's really dead.
Yeah. But it makes it interesting because this is after Civil War. So she turned on him technically because remember, she was originally with him and then she sided with Cap at the end.
Yeah, and he told her
So it's
Ross is coming after her too.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting how they incorporate him. Is he just in the beginning to set it off where now
Yeah.
she's on her own? But no, we're definitely going to see Iron Man in some capacity, or at least just Tony Stark. But I hope that it's not too much of a reliance. If this is going to be her solo movie, let it be her solo movie.
Yeah, I just think that because they're all so cool in real life, the whole Avengers team, because they've been together for so long, that they probably do it just for her.
Like
Yeah.
little cameos.
But at the same time, man, I kind of feel you guys. I think that she should have her own movie finally.
and let it stand on its own.
Yeah, I remember seeing something this week where somebody was like pretending to be Disney and Marvel, and Disney was like, you guys should make a female-led movie, and they're like, if we only had a female lead that people want to see, and they were like Scarlet, they're like Captain Marvel. Yeah, we'll go with that. We'll go with that. Which is crazy because if you think about it, man, they really should have put Captain Marvel towards like after, because I think Captain Marvel actually came off a lot better in Endgame than she did in her own movie.
Yeah.
I still liked her movies.
Her movie was good though. Yeah. I still liked it, enjoyed it. But yeah, man, we'll see it, and I think once we get closer to that May 2020, we'll start talking about our chances of seeing some of our old friends in that movie. See if we'll put some bets
I think
on there.
you know what it is? It's too soon.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
it'll
Like
be
if
interesting.
this was like maybe the end of Phase 4, so we're like 3-4 years removed
Yeah.
from Endgame, and like we haven't seen Iron Man in that long, like 4 or 5 years. You're like, give me that nostalgia.
Yeah.
It's like he's not even cold in the ground yet. You know what I mean? And you're giving us nostalgia. You have to miss it for it to mean something. You know?
Exactly, man. I agree with that completely, man. And then another trailer came out maybe a day later or two, and I knew this was going to be one of Sanjay's. And he texted me right away after he saw the trailer, because I texted the trailer out to both of you guys, and Sanjay's like, yeah. So A Time to Die, the next James Bond.
Vodka martini, shaken not stirred.
Bond.
James Bond.
Oh, man. Now, the one thing is, I don't really, it's weird because I've seen all the 007 movies that he's been in, Daniel Craig, but I really don't remember some of the themes and some of the things that are happening. So when I watched this trailer, I was like, all right, it looks cool. I don't know what the hell's going on, but it looks cool.
Well, Daniel Craig's time as James Bond, the stories that they've told, or the story that they're telling through this series of movies with him, is actually the rise, fall, and resurgence of James Bond.
Right.
They showed how he became a 00.
That was Quantum of Solace, right?
No, that wasn't.
Was that the
that
first
was before Quantum of Solace.
Skyfall, no?
No,
Oh.
it wasn't Skyfall. It was Casino Royale.
Oh,
So
yes.
at the start of Casino Royale, he's James Bond, but he's not a 00, right?
Right.
And then they go through him becoming a 00, and then you go through Quantum of Solace, and then after Quantum of
Skyfall or
yeah, then you go to Skyfall, then you go
Spectre.
then you go to Spectre. So and
I
then,
love Skyfall.
oh, Skyfall was incredible.
Yeah.
And then at the end of Spectre, he decides to walk away with this woman who he falls in love with again.
No,
Right.
that's the main girl in this
And
preview.
now, yeah, and I believe at the end of that movie, it hinted that they're gonna have a life together. So whether they get married or not, it's like he's settling down with her,
Right.
right? And he's kind of walking away from the 00 life. So you got in Daniel Craig's James Bond movies, you got a lot more backstory on James Bond.
I feel that. Yeah.
You got a lot more backstory.
Even when they went to the hometown in Skyfall.
yeah,
That was cool. Yeah.
yeah. So I think his movies have been cool. By far the most action packed.
Absolutely.
Pierce Brosnan had some action-packed Bond movies, which
GoldenEye.
GoldenEye. Tomorrow Never Dies.
Yeah,
was really
that was
good.
a good one.
From an action standpoint. But yeah, it's been good. I didn't know how he would do as a Bond character. He was the first blonde to do Bond, which I thought was a little weird.
But he's done good.
He's
man.
done good, and he's not traditionally good looking in the sense that of the actors that they've chosen to be James Bond, like Sean Connery and Pierce Brosnan and George Lazenby and Timothy Dalton. Even he's just not. He doesn't look like he has a more rugged brawler type.
And I think that's why they went with that that look, because in those movies especially, I've seen them get more physical, more action-packed, more fights than a normal. You know, most of those. Right. When I think of James Bond, I think of all the gadgets sometimes, and some of the women, some of the crazy villains. You know, so
Pierce Brosnan could not pull off this James Bond. Like you would never believe Pierce Brosnan throwing a punch the way Daniel
that pretty
Craig.
boy.
You would never believe it.
Would you have seen him pulling off the beach scene where they reversed it and now Bond was the one coming out of the water?
Pierce says he's in good shape, bro.
No, but would you have seen him pulling off that scene?
Yeah, when Daniel Craig pulled off the scene, it was almost like seeing Superman come out of the oil tanker beach. I was like, Jesus, man, put that away. Put that chest away.
Freaking gun show.
Dude, when Superman walked out of the beach, off the oil tanker saving, oh, dude.
Yeah.
I was like, Jesus, dude.
Damn CGI. Except it's not.
My man,
hate.
Man, ate raw beef for like 3 weeks.
Yeah. Did like 100 push-ups before the scene.
Yeah.
Right before the scene.
He's like, oh, hold up before we take. Al, man, what's your take on these the new Time to Die here, man? You interested in the movie or?
Yeah, I'm not as into the James Bond, as anything else. Yeah. Interesting enough, I have all of the movies, all of the Daniel Craig James Bonds on DVD, on Blu-ray.
Right.
So I'm gonna see if I can catch up on them, watch them again, maybe before the movie I catch this.
Well,
new
I have
one.
all of them if you'd like to borrow them.
Yeah, but I like it. I like the way I like his interpretation. Before him, the one I liked was what's his name?
Pierce or
Sean Connery?
No, who did it after Sean Connery?
No, right before
Timothy.
Pierce.
Roger Moore.
Roger Moore. That's who I like. That was he. Other than Sean Connery, he was my favorite up until Daniel Craig.
Okay, I can see that.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting. I like the way they do the gadgets, because they've followed that into almost all of the other, like spy type movies. You always see them now having these gadgets and Inspector Gadget and everything. So
even like Kingsman, you're like, come on,
yeah.
James Bond.
No, and in these Bond movies, they almost poke fun at the gadgets. You know, it isn't as heavily reliant on the gadgets like you were saying, and they kind of poke fun at it. Like I remember there was one, I can't remember which movie it was exactly, where Q hands him a watch, right? And he's like, "Well, what does it do?" And Q's like, "It tells the time."
Yeah, I remember that.
And he's like, "Oh."
It just tells the time, bro. No missiles.
Like he's like, I saw you forgot your watch, and I figured you'd want to tell time.
He answered him like we would.
Yeah, he's like, it tells the time. And then, of course, he has that British accent. Well, I think that actor was doing a more either Irish or Scottish accent. I can't remember which one, so I don't want to mix them up and say it was one or the other. But it's definitely
Q, right?
Yeah, the Q character.
Yeah.
It tells the time. But
oh man, yeah. So it'll be Time to Die. This says coming out April?
Yeah,
I think sometime in April.
You know what? I have very little concept of time right now because I am so locked in on January 23rd, which is when Picard comes out. So I don't even know when other movies and stuff. Yeah. So
not relevant.
Not right. Yeah. Other than that, it's Star Wars on December 20th. Not this Friday, next Friday. It's those two things. Those are the events right now. I'm not even thinking about Christmas.
All right. Yeah, man, that's gonna be crazy, man. We're gonna start talking about Star Wars next week. We're gonna get that prep in for everybody.
Yeah.
But before we get into those preps, man, we got these trailers here, and another one actually came out this afternoon, which was Wonder Woman 1984. Now, Al, were you?
I was 10.
It was. I was gonna ask you your age, bro.
I remember it.
Yeah.
That's the whole problem. I can remember the time.
That's not a problem. That you can still remember it at this point.
thing.
That's a good thing.
So yeah, but the preview was pretty. It was interesting, but like we mentioned, I hope they do a good explanation for what they showed in the preview.
Yeah.
I hope it's not a gimmick. It's gonna have to explain a lot. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen the preview, but her love interest from the first one is back in it. I forget the character's name, but how is he back?
Yeah.
Because in later movies, like when they did Justice League and all that stuff,
It's as if she missed him from the first time.
Because remember, Batman or Bruce Wayne recovered the picture for her.
Yeah.
And she's like very thankful that he recovered. So clearly he's dead, right? And it was the picture of him, from when
from the first movie.
From the first movie.
Yeah.
So I'm like, so how is he alive?
Right. It's got to be a mind trick somehow. I mean, I think the villain of this movie is going to be Max Lord, and that's one of his things is he can control certain things. So I think he's making her see something.
I know. And Kristen Wiig is in there as Cheetah, or
right. And they didn't really show much of her being a villain. They just showed her as being part of the movie.
Yeah.
So I'm hopeful that turns out pretty good. But I that also did confuse me. Seeing him in the trailer was just like, wait a minute, that guy definitely was in a plane up in the sky that blew up. So,
So was Steve Rogers.
Yeah.
Oh, his name is Steve.
There you go.
Yeah, but I don't know, man. I'm still interested in seeing it. It looked great.
Yeah.
I did love the one thing that it was unbelievable, but was awesome to see was her lassoing from
lightning bolt
to other lightning bolt.
Okay, Al, you're gonna help me out on this one. That's a little crazy.
It's crazy, but like you were saying, they have been known to give superheroes new powers.
That's definitely a DC thing.
And
throw in new powers.
And they are taking on the play that they now made her the daughter of Zeus.
So that could kind of explain, I guess.
Lightning,
yeah.
and I get
like Dad, throw me a line, like
throw me a line.
You
suck. No. No,
and not to objectify her or anything, but the costumes that they put her in, like the dresses, the gowns, like
she looks amazing.
Oh my gosh,
she's amazing. Yeah,
and that's even from the first movie, the first Wonder Woman movie, the Batman, the Justice League movie, and shit. They always find like the most beautiful clothes to put her in.
Yeah, she looks great. But you know what? Also, besides her looking great, she looks confident and she looks like Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
And one of the things that they used to kill her for was like, oh, you have this tall skinny girl playing Wonder Woman.
Right.
Dude, she sold it, man.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. Wonder Woman, the first one, I loved it. I did enjoy it. It was a little long and the ending was a little off, but at the same time, I still enjoyed a lot of that movie. Like, I'll still never forget that point where she went to No Man's Return?
Yeah.
And they said, why haven't they moved from here to the next point? They said, oh, we've been fighting it for a year, trying to move up forward, but we can't because they had like some kind of turret.
Yeah. They were in the trench, and
dude,
she just
that music, dun 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 dun. Yes, dude, I almost stood up in the theater, like, yeah, dude. She stood up, took the bullet fire while the team went from the side. Dude, they made Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Awesome. They really did. They did a great job with Wonder Woman, and the score is crazy. I love that. I love that score for her. It's like, dun, dun. I love it. I just love it. And then they hit that note right there with the guitar.
Yeah.
But I mean, it does look like they're gonna follow through on her, and as they should. They really should not give up on her like they gave up on Superman and Batman.
But here's the thing.
I don't know.
Sorry,
no, I was just gonna say I don't know because did we touch on it or because I know I was.
I think we mentioned it really quick that Superman that he hasn't
Henry
given up.
Cavill's hinted that I still have the cape or something.
But dude, if you think about it, honestly, Superman Part 1, that movie came out when I got married. That was almost 7 years ago. They should have been followed up that Superman already. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, they can't. They did do the Batman versus Superman and also Justice League. But
they, what it is with her character, they're developing her story. From the first one and even being in the Justice League movie and then giving her the 1984 movie, they're developing her independently, which is that's good. They didn't do that with Superman. They gave us one movie, The Man of Steel, to introduce the character. A new, darker, basically the same origin story.
Right.
A little darker, a little grittier than what we're used to for Superman, which I kind of liked. But they're not doing it for Batman. You know, they gave you a few scenes in Justice League. You know, they didn't develop him. So even though we knew the origin story and everything, they didn't develop that Batman. How did he become... They show you the Robin suit.
Right.
So we're clearly to infer that one of the Robins got killed. But they're not giving us that background. From that, they could have went back to that movie. You don't have to go back to the origin.
Right.
You could have went back to that story. How did that Robin die? How does this Batman show up?
Well, what's the story
What's
on
the
there?
story? What's his mindset right now? You know. And they started to do it with Superman, but they didn't follow it up. He shows up alive, you know, in Justice League, right?
Right.
Or no?
No, they brought him back to life.
They brought him back to life in which movie?
Justice League.
Justice League. So in which movie did he die then? I thought it was
Batman v
versus
Superman at the end.
Okay, yeah, that's the movie I missed. Yeah, so Batman vs. Superman. So they brought him back in Justice League. So this Superman is clearly like, and you see it in the scene with him and Batman, like, you won't let me live, you won't let me die. What do you want from me? So he's clearly not himself.
Right.
And we don't get anything. And then within the 20-25 minutes, he's back to being the Superman we know and love.
Right, with the smile.
That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, they got to give a little bit more story to that.
You know, you can't tell me he just shows up and like he's already worked all that out in his head.
Right.
And he's at full power.
Right, you were dead, bro.
Yeah, you were dead. You were definitely dead. You know.
Yeah.
So yeah, and why the Christian Bale Batman worked so well was that they developed it, and at every stage in the story, you knew what his mindset was, and you kind of feel where that character was at that point, especially in The Dark Knight Rises. At the end, where they tied, like the scene for me that tied that loop together was when him and Gordon have it at the end, right before he takes off. Is like, sometimes it's just as simple as putting a coat around a little kid's shoulders and telling him it'll be okay. And
Bruce?
then he's like, no, he says Wayne. He knows him as Wayne, right? He says Wayne, and then like they give you that flashback to that point where we had never seen that scene where he's in the police station,
Right.
like having to give an account, and then you see where it really starts for him with Commissioner Gordon. Like you always think like that's where they met. As with him as Batman, that's when they started a relationship. That relationship started when he was a kid, right? The night that his parents died.
Yeah.
So like that tied it together very nicely, and they do that. And you're right, they haven't been doing anything like that with Batman or Superman
No.
They
since.
kind of gave up on him. But I'm glad they didn't give up on Wonder Woman. It looks like they're not giving up on Aquaman. And hopefully we'll hear something new about Henry Cavill's Superman soon. But, I mean, in regards to the Wonder Woman trailer for yourself, Sanj, you found it...
Oh, I found it quite entertaining, and
Yeah.
you know they gave it a disco feel because it's 1984. It had that studio.
I wasn't crazy about that.
I loved it because it's a period. It's the time
Right.
period, right? So it
Right.
has to feel authentic. For the
Yeah.
yeah. So no, I like it, and even like the artwork for the 1984 is
Yeah.
like Studio 54ish, you know. So
Yeah. You know what, though? I'm kind of with Al on the whole, like, Stephen Trevor. Is it Trevor? Stephen Trevor or Steve Trevor? Something like that?
let's just call him Steve.
Yeah, we call him Scuba Steve.
Scuba Steve.
I'm confused. I'm sure they're gonna tell us how and why he's seeing her, because even she acknowledges him, like, how are you here in the trailer too. So then we see him continuously through the trailer. So they're gonna have to explain that. But I'm interested in
Pretty
seeing
good,
the movie.
Steve Trevor.
And it looks like
Oh, school
Steve
whore.
Trevor. And it looks like he's basically just following her around in the movie. From the trailer, it looks like he's just following her around like a puppy. Like
Wonder Woman's gonna look at him and she's gonna be like, "I see dead people."
Stephen King wrote that. No, that movie was M. Night Shyamalan. M. Night
Shyamalan,
Shyamalan, yeah. This is Wonder Woman, M. Night Shyamalan style. Eh?
There's a twist at the end.
Oh, no.
Oh man, but yeah, man. And then that movie's supposed to come out sometime. I think I didn't. If I saw, did I see a date? Was that the one that was in April or was
No, June 5th.
June 5th? Okay,
June 5th.
awesome, man. So that was that trailer there for Wonder Woman, and then the last trailer we'll talk about today was the Free Guy trailer, and I'm just convinced Ryan Reynolds, and I don't know if it's because he played Deadpool so great. He looks like he's playing Deadpool in every freaking movie.
No, he's playing Ryan Reynolds, and he turned like basically Deadpool and Ryan Reynolds are the same
guy.
person.
Dude, they really
Just like
how is it that's so ridiculous?
because the people at Marvel know how to cast. That's just like Hugh Jackman is Wolverine. Like they're the same person. I told you, somebody had a time machine, went back in time, or came forward in time,
Is
and
that
met all
is
these
that
actors.
a good thing or a bad thing that can only hear him and see him playing? But then it feels like every movie he does the same shtick. He's always being like this ridiculously
Smart ass.
like a smart ass, sarcastic and funny in every movie preview. The one with him and Samuel L. Jackson as were they bodyguards? or something
him
like
as
that?
bodyguard.
Right. They did that movie. He played the same character. I felt like,
But he's
Deadpool.
been like that from the beginning because wasn't he in Blade 2?
He was in Blade Trinity.
Trinity.
Yeah.
Trinity. He played the same guy.
Dude.
Same guy.
How does this guy keep getting work doing the same exact thing?
Because that's the two type of actors you have in Hollywood. The actors that they have a personality, and that's what they bring all the time. And then you have method actors like Christian Bale that can adapt to any role and give you something different every single
He could
time.
be Batman
He can be Batman,
and also be freaking the vice president.
right? And be Dick. He can be Dick Cheney.
How?
How?
And meanwhile,
and then,
Ryan Reynolds is Pikachu Daredevil.
yes,
Not Daredevil, Deadpool.
Deadpool, all the time. But it works.
It does,
Yeah,
though.
but he did great as Detective Pikachu.
Yes, he
did
did. He
great.
was phenomenal.
It made me like Pokemon. I watched it only because he was the voice, and I said, "Let me see what this is about."
Yeah, it was all right. I fell asleep watching the movie, man. I couldn't keep up with the damn thing. A movie for kids.
Yeah.
But
Not Deadpool.
No, not Deadpool. But in Free Guy, man, I mean, it looks like he's in a video game. Looks like he's in one of those either. What is it? Pug is the underground, something like that.
Yeah.
PUG, is it PUG?
Oh, pub.
The multiplayer.
Oh
game?
no, PUBG. Yeah.
It's either that or Fortnite. It looks like because I saw
PlayerUnknown
somebody doing the freaking
Battlegrounds?
Orange Crush thing in the background.
And Fortnite. Yeah. It's like I think he's supposed to be like the character in the background of any game that you've played.
Right.
Like the non-playable character. That's just part of the story.
Can you imagine you playing a game and then somebody else shoots you from the back? You're like, who is that? It shows like the bank teller.
He's a cashier.
But it did look. I mean, look, not for nothing. It did look funny. I like the joke. She's like,
You know what it seems like?
That.
An adult version of Wreck-It Ralph,
Yes.
or Ralph Breaks the Internet. Like,
Right.
which I saw recently, which was so like it was a really cool movie. I love it.
Yeah, Penelope.
Penelope.
But I mean, it did seem fun, and I hate to say it. At this moment in time, I'm not sure if I'm going to see it.
I'm definitely gonna see it. You know why? Because it looks like the stupidest concept ever for a movie. But Ryan Reynolds, like, I just want to see him do it.
Right.
He's that kind of actor. I want to go see him in the movie.
I got you.
It's hard for me not to watch a movie with Ryan Reynolds in it.
He's funny. I've literally seen just about all his movies, man. Because even like I didn't even see him in the theater though. I always end up either getting it on Redbox or Netflix or something like that.
If it's a light movie month,
Yeah.
where I have like one of those extra movies on my subscription that I just have to like kill,
Yeah.
I'll go see it on that. Otherwise, yeah, I'll wait. But I still want to see it.
Now it being made by Disney makes you see it more or less.
It doesn't matter at this
Doesn't matter,
point.
right?
Yeah, who makes the movie doesn't matter to me too much at this point. Disney legitimizes it because they generally put out a good product.
Right.
So
That's true. Al, how about you, man? You seen this movie or?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Definitely. Wow.
I don't know if I'll see it in the theater though.
Yeah.
That's the only problem.
That's the one thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
you know what we can do? We can do like a popcorn night and like get together and like sit on a couch,
Absolutely, man. So yeah,
pizza,
man.
popcorn.
I mean, like I said, those movies are great. But I know we're talking about Free Guy here, but we're talking about Ryan Reynolds. Are you guys a little bit surprised we haven't heard anything about a Deadpool Part 3?
No,
No, but didn't he put out that he's officially an Avenger now?
He keeps saying things like that. Like he put down when they first signed that he's officially on Marvel. Marvel promotes Deadpool sometimes too when they do their little like shows away, saying that he will be in the MCU or he'll be in his own standalone thing.
Yeah.
But I'm just surprised because as far as like Deadpool goes, they know that's a hit.
Yeah.
Part 1 and Part 2 made tons of money and they were good. I'm just surprised that it's been like 2 years now. A year or two?
You can oversaturate a character, right? So people love him,
Yeah.
and I think they have a plan of what they want to do, and there's going to be a low, and they're going to throw us a Deadpool movie. I
But
think
even if you
you
look,
got to keep an ace in the
Well,
back
Deadpool
pocket.
2
you know?
is 2018. So
2018. So okay, so it'll be almost 2 years.
Yeah.
But like, we saw Phase 4, what's coming out, what they planned for it, and it's not mentioned anywhere there. 2021, 2022, we know what's coming out for Marvel.
But I think they might be omitting stuff on purpose because
Okay.
if you compare the timeline now to when they first showed the timeline, there's a lot more in there
Yeah.
than there originally was when they listed the timeline.
Gotcha.
So I think as they iron out contracts, as they get a better understanding, now that Spider-Man definitely will be back in the MCU, now they can re-put into effect whatever they were planning on doing. So I think we'll start seeing more of what they wanted to do in terms of timeline and movies.
All right. Cool. All right, man. I mean, so that's pretty much like the trailers and the news from the week this week, which is pretty cool to see all these trailers. Actually, it just feels a lot better just being back here talking
Yes,
to you guys
absolutely.
about the movie, man. Just
Almost want to
laughing
like
here.
shoot 2 episodes just to catch up.
Yeah, we're gonna pause this and come back episode 39. But you know what, man? I know we missed this week because of Thanksgiving, family, different things going on with all of us. So just I was thinking like if we had did the podcast last Sunday, one of the things I wanted to talk about was like what we were thankful for as far as we deal with movies. So like as far as movies goes, is there something that you I guess think fondly of, or like you really like, dude, I'm thankful for this movie, or this movie means something to me, it's special, or it does something for me. And just wanted to see if there's anything that's like that's like that for you. So, Sanjay, is there any movie for you that you're like, you know what, I'm thankful that movie was made?
If I think about it, I mean, obviously y'all know how I feel about Star Trek, but that's not one movie. That's a whole universe.
Yeah.
If I had to pick like one specific movie, it'd probably be Big Fish.
Okay, I think it sounds familiar, but I'm not sure. What's Big Fish?
Big Fish was with Jim Caviezel and Ewan McGregor. So it's 2 stories going on at one time. So it's Ewan McGregor's story of when he was young and growing up, and then he turns into this older character played by another actor, who is Jim Caviezel's dad, right? So it's a
Right.
father and son story, and basically the dad like recounts his whole life through these stories, and he's telling the story of his life. He's embellishing. But because it's a lot more colorful to tell the stories this way,
Right.
and like they end up having a rift, the father and the son, and then like towards the end of his life, his son comes back with his wife and whatnot because the mother calls and says, your dad's dying and whatnot, and
Right.
the father's now telling the daughter-in-law. Because the daughter-in-law is pregnant at this point, right? All these stories about him, because she's never met him, like
Right.
other than at their wedding, and then they didn't speak anymore after that. And you get the story, and then when the dad dies, so the father and son reconcile, of course. And I'm giving a very bad synopsis of the movie.
No, man. Go for it.
And then at the end, all the characters, because there's like a lot of circus characters and things like that, they all show up to the funeral, and they're real people like that he was talking about.
Oh, wow.
And then he visits places that his dad was talking about, and they're like, well, and he learns about his dad because his dad was like a traveling salesman, so he kind of thought his dad was like had this other family or was like cheating on his mom and stuff like that.
Right.
And everywhere he went, people just told him these stories about his dad, and he realized all these stories his dad was telling weren't stories. They were real, and like everything was going on, and they were just, and everyone knew his dad is this great guy. He was just one of these guys that like always stood up for people and whatnot. And I think if with all of that, right, with all that, because that movie came out like around the time my dad died, so it was kind of like that kind of mind
Right.
space. So and at the end of it came out right before my dad died or something like that. And at the end of the movie, there's this great as the ending credits roll, there's a great Pearl Jam song that rolls called the Man of the Hour, right? And it's a great Pearl Jam song.
Right.
It's like one of the saddest songs you ever heard. Right? And I was actually thinking up my I couldn't figure out what to write for my dad's eulogy or what to say for my dad's eulogy. And I heard that Pearl Jam song and I'm like, I've got it.
Right.
It's basically the lyrics to that song, you know.
That's so like crazy.
Yeah.
That you heard it and
Yeah, and then like that was it. Because it's kind of like that relationship and whatnot, you know, at times rocky, but, you know, still it's dad.
yeah.
And then the reason it stands out for me, that alone would make it stand out for me.
Right.
But then a few years later, when a friend of mine, when his father passed away, I kind of used those words again because I actually had the opportunity to get up and speak at his dad's funeral.
Right.
As well. So this time I kind of used those words not to eulogize his father, but I kind of used it as advice to him. Like I spoke directly at him.
That's awesome.
From
man.
up there. It's like, you know.
Yeah.
So I was able to that movie like was able to get me through a couple things because this friend like his dad was like an uncle to me. So like that
Right.
yeah. Not
man,
to be so heavy on y'all.
No,
So
that's great, man. That's good stuff right
so
there.
I'm actually very thankful for Big Fish.
Wow, man.
Yeah.
That's great, man. Jesus, I'm not gonna say Marvel now.
You should have came to me last.
No, that's beautiful, man.
I'll
That's
lend you the
awesome.
movie if you want to see it.
I'm gonna have to see that movie now, man.
Yeah, it's
Absolutely.
heavy though. It's heavy.
Yeah, man. But you know what's funny because I was thinking like more towards like that, and I couldn't figure out. But as you were speaking, I realized what it was for me that I am thankful for, man. But you know what? I'll go now and give Al a little more time. But there's a movie that Robert Williams did that I never thought that he would make because he was a comedian, and I only watched it because Robert Williams was in it and he was a comedian. Huh? Is Robin? My bad, guys. Thank you. So Robin Williams, and I watched it because he was in it. I used to watch all his movies, Mrs. Doubtfire.
Love Mrs. Doubtfire.
You know,
That movie's so awesome.
Anything he did Peter Pan.
Yes.
I had to watch this movie, and it was called What Dreams May Come, or I think.
Okay.
And then, and it's weird because it came in a point in my time when I lacked a certain belief of what things could happen after life, right? And it almost like kind of depressed me because it almost made me feel like a certain way about death because I'm fearful of death or had a big fear of death, you know. And I know people believe different things. Everyone thinks differently of what happens, right? You know, especially in my life growing up with my mom taking me to church. We were, you know, raised Catholic. We were told to believe you had to do certain things to go to some place. I never really believed that. And then also at the same time, I also read a lot of stories like Dante's Inferno. I've read. I've also read a lot about the Greek gods and their belief of what death going down into Aries, you know. And it's just, it was always something so confusing. I'm like, how can this world be so old, but not be so old, and at the same time believe all these different things? And they do because no one knows the answer. It's this mystery. And I remember watching this movie, man, and it was just beyond deep, you know, the grief, the depression, the angst of trying to find his wife in the movie, you know, and the fact that he ended up doing it. And then at the end, one of the things that touched me the most was they had an opportunity to do it again in reincarnation. And like even right now talking about it, I'm getting the tingles all over me. I'm getting the goosies on the side of the arm here.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, even if it's not true, it's something that gives you hope or faith that there's something. And I just remember watching the movie because to me, movies always meant more than some stories. You know, it was something that put visually what I was reading, and it just made me kind of like.
And the visuals in that movie are stunning.
Dude, are you kidding me? The land of the people who took their own lives, and they were just in I think it was like a sea of darkness or a sea of gray. Purgatory. That's right. That's what it was called. Mm-hmm. And it was just insane seeing that there, but then also seeing the happiness and in different ways of the remembrance of people. it just, that movie completely touched me, man.
So what was your favorite scene from that movie? Because that was one of the movies where I was debating between which one am I most
That's
thankful
crazy.
for.
Really?
Yeah.
Get out of here, man.
Yeah. Which was?
I don't even think that many people have seen this movie,
It was an
man.
incredible movie.
Yeah.
Because when I talk about this movie to other people, they're like, Robin Williams did a movie like this? And I'm like, yeah, man. It was one of the ones that I remember the most. And it's, you know what's the weird part too, dude? I want to own the movie, but I refuse to buy it. I don't know what the hell's wrong with me.
If you ever need it,
You have it?
I have it.
You know what? I want to watch that again, man.
I'll give you the 2 movies when we
Because, you know, I can't think of a specific scene at the moment. Like,
Okay.
I just remember the feeling that I had watching that movie. And I asked my mom to let me see it again.
she must have loved that movie.
She did and she didn't. She told me not to take too much into what they were showing and saying about death.
Okay. I see why.
Because of her belief, right? But at the same time, it talked to me personally because I've always had my doubts with faith and religion and faith and following rules that who knows who made, you know what I mean?
The movie, I thought she would love it because it followed a very Judeo-Christian.
It did for the most part.
Yeah, except for the reincarnation part.
Boom.
Okay.
Right, you know, and then it just like I said, to me, it gave me, I guess I could say it gave me a little bit of hope, man.
Yeah.
And that's all I can really ask for sometimes, especially when I think it came at a time where I was a little depressed with certain things. So it came at the right time to give me hope that, hey, man, it's not all bad. And, you know, there's ways that this life continues on, man. And I'm just like, wow, okay. Even though it's just a movie, to me, it meant more than that. So I'm thankful for What Dreams May Come.
Yeah.
That movie's awesome.
That was an awesome movie. That's an awesome pick. I love it.
Yeah, man.
I love it.
Wow. Al, man, how about you, man?
I didn't think other people had seen that movie.
Right? You see that?
I was sitting here like ready to cry over it.
Crazy, man. Crazy.
I was just sitting here like, I'm just going to sit over there.
Damn, I didn't get as deep as y'all on this, but
Frozen too.
no, but for me it was more. I went with the first movie that came to my mind when you said that this was what we were going to talk about was actually the first Godfather.
Okay.
And not because of the content, but because of how it affected me in the sense that up until then I was always watching the same type of movies. Like if it wasn't a comic book based movie, if it wasn't like an action movie or a comedy, I wasn't really hearing it. Like that was it. That's all I was watching. And then I sat down, I watched it, and it just made me realize that I can watch something other than a comedy and shoot 'em up and actually enjoy it. And that was basically it. I mean, it was set in a time frame that I never thought I would want to see a movie for.
Right. Also set in different places you never thought you'd look at before.
Yeah, exactly. It was like black and white. It was set in the 20s or 30s, whatever. Like I never thought I would want to see that movie. And from I remember I saw it, and I didn't even catch it from the beginning. I caught it from like maybe the middle. And as long as that movie it felt like I had watched the whole movie. And I was like, man, what? It made me want to watch it again. And then ever since then, I've watched it again. It has made me say, you know what? Even though I may not have wanted to watch a movie, let me still give it a shot. To the point where I watched both of the movies you guys have referenced. I watched May Dreams Come. Big Fish, May Dreams, you know how...
Yeah.
Like the fact that wasn't he living in the paintings or something?
Yes.
Wasn't that the world he was living in?
Yeah, that was the world, yeah.
Yeah, so like opening me up to watch those movies was because I watched Godfather, like just because at the time there was nothing else on. And I was like, all right, let me just put this on.
Right.
And then I was like, oh, what else? And it kind of like, as silly as it may sound, it made me ask myself, what else have I been missing? Because at that point, that movie Godfather had been out for who knows how long.
Right, it was in 1970 something, that movie.
Yeah, so I was like, you know what? Let me see what other movies I should be watching, and it just opened it up.
Yeah, man, it's funny you say that too, because even myself, man, I think I told you guys I didn't see Godfather till maybe 2 years ago, for the first time, and everyone talked about it and it said it. I'm like, whatever, and it would come up in the Oscars that one of the greatest movies ever made is Godfather. And you know, you hear people talk about the scenes in Italy and the Italian wedding and the family and the mafia. And I'm like, the hell would I care about that? Dude, I could not turn that movie off.
Yeah, man.
I was so like just invested in the characters, the movie. Even when they went to Italy, I was like, oh my God, this is home. Yeah.
Hey, excuse me.
It was awesome, man.
Yeah.
I did enjoy watching that movie, man. Definitely. Yeah, man. All right, man. And you know what? Really quick, just for like the people who listen, because obviously Marvel is like one of those big things. Is there like a Marvel movie that stands out for you for you guys that like I guess you could say that I'm glad they made these Marvel movies. Like this is awesome. Like this is something like, for instance, like I said before, Sanj came with that Big Fish. I was gonna say I'm thankful for the MCU. You know what I mean?
Well, that's it. The MCU is a universe. It's
Yeah.
not one. It's not
Not
one
one-
movie. It's hard to pick one Marvel movie
Yeah.
that I'm like uber thankful for. It would end up being Endgame.
Me too.
You know, but
For me, it would be Iron Man.
The first one.
Not to jump on the Iron Man because he died in Endgame, but because they had been trying them. They'd been trying to light that match before Iron Man.
Yeah.
You had the first Hulk where Eric Bana didn't work.
Right.
Even the first Hulk with Ed Norton had much better success, but still didn't spark that, we have something here.
even the Spider-Man movies.
Yeah,
didn't.
it wasn't until Iron Man. And for whatever reason, something about Iron Man made everybody say,
X-Men did. And they had X-Men before that, and X-Men didn't do it either. It didn't light the fire. It did.
Think about it. So Iron Man lit up the next 23 movies to build up this saga.
Yeah.
So
I think
if you had to list
that came
one
together, like Robert Downey Jr. being cast as the actor,
Yeah.
and then the music that they used, because every time the promo came in, dun, 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 like AC/DC with it, and it's like everything just kind of came together perfectly, like lightning in a bottle. Like they caught it, you know?
Yeah, I mean, you always got to be thankful for the originator, Iron Man. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think, like you were saying, Sanj, Endgame, for me, because I didn't know a movie could do all that, you know?
No.
Because let's talk really. The last hour is all action, but before that, there's not a lot of action going on in Avengers Endgame.
No, it sets you up.
It's not a lot of figuring out what the hell's
Yeah.
happening here and how to figure out how to do it.
It just had those payoff moments. So many of those payoff moments, and like
Yes.
it was not. And you would think with so many payoff moments, you'd be overloaded. You didn't get overloaded. Like at the end when you hear on the right, you're like
on the left.
On
the left. Sorry,
Yeah.
I was thinking something else. Sorry.
Yeah,
You know when he's like on the left, and you realize who it is, you're like, fuck yeah, you know what I'm saying? And then Cap goes, Avengers, assemble, and it's everybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
That's honestly the all the little nods from each of those movies to me felt like, yo, thank you for staying. Thank you for watching all these movies.
Yeah.
Thank you for being a fan because you know what they're talking about.
Right.
That scene right there is for you. That scene right there, you know what they're saying.
Yeah.
You know, Clint, give me the gauntlet.
Give me the gun.
How does he know Clint's name? When Clint's name was I don't care. You know?
My name, I don't care.
I don't care. But it's just I think Endgame just did everything. And then again, man, I don't think I've bawled after a movie like the way I bawled telling my wife what happened with Captain America at the end of Endgame.
Yeah. You see, that it just had so much, because even I thought about Black Panther maybe, but Black Panther still didn't have all of that.
Yeah.
You know,
Uh-huh.
to give it just all those moments in it, and I feel like this is the first time they created this whole thing just for the fans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
man.
whole MCU was just for the fans. They gave the fans everything that they wanted 23 times. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm glad they did something, because the last time I remember something like that where there was a long build-up and just got disappointed, semi-disappointed, was Lost.
Lost, yeah, the last
You
episode
were
of Lost.
disappointed by it? By Lost?
Semi. Like, they gave us the ending that I thought it was, like that there was something religious about it, that you know, there was something tying them all together. But it didn't tie up all the loose ends. It felt like some of the endings and answers were rushed or just thrown out there. Like the explanation for the black fog,
Yeah.
the monster was like,
And I'll tell you what I'm not thankful for. Matrix Revolutions.
Okay.
Jesus.
I'll tell you what I'm not thankful for. The last season of Game of Thrones.
If Brandon was here, I'll say your answer for you.
Brandon
Iron Man
might
3.
Yeah.
Yo, he hates Iron Man 3, man.
I think we all do, bro.
Yeah,
Like,
off the side a little bit.
No, but he he might murder Iron Man 3. Like he
Yo, you know what's funny?
if Iron Man 3 came to life somehow, if we could anthropomorphize Iron Man 3.
Yeah. Yo, but I did the Disney Plus, and why is Iron Man 3 always on my on my screen when I
Because they're
turn it
trying
on?
to get people to watch it. No one wants to watch it.
Come on, give it a shot.
They're thinking like, all right, the kids are gonna be watching. They don't
Yeah.
know. Oh, Iron Man.
Uh-huh. Try to get somebody to watch it. Anyway, y'all, man, we're going to end the episode on that note right there. But again, guys, thank you for listening to us. Thank you for, being a part of our podcast by listening to us,
We're
subscribing
thankful
to
for
us.
you.
Hell yeah, thank you. Because, if it was just us four listening to our podcast, it'd be pretty bad. So luckily we have a lot more than just 4 people listening to the podcast. It's awesome to see those numbers always going up. So we're thankful for that. And listen, next Sunday is going to be a big podcast. Hopefully Brandon will be here. And all, the 4 of us will be back together and we'll talk about Star Wars. We'll get you guys ready for Star Wars Rise of the Skywalker. And it's going to be a big one, man.
Yeah.
We got 9 movies plus 2.
I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos how Rey is his daughter. Rey is not his daughter. Like, oh my God, it's overload.
It's overload for everything,
about it
man.
at this point. Yeah.
It's gonna be nuts, man. But listen, guys, if you hear signs in the beginning, you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, our website, therealfanreview.com, or our podcast is The Real Fan Review. You can email us at therealfanreview@gmail.com as well. And any kind of subjects, topics, questions, send them on in. We'll definitely go over them with you guys. So thank you again. Signing off from New York, we got my boy Sanj.
All right, everyone. Good night.
Got my boy Al.
Have a good night, everybody.
And myself, Hav, man. Again, we thank you, and we'll catch you next week. Have a good night.